All right, before we get started, let's make sure you have the right understanding of images and containers. Can you define what an image is and how it's different from a container? Pause the video and think about it for a few seconds. Here's the answer. An image includes everything an application needs to run. So it contains a cut-down operating system like Linux or Windows. It also contains third-party libraries, application files, environment variables, and so on. So an image contains all the files and configuration settings needed to run an application. Once we have an image, we can start a container from it. A container is kind of like a virtual machine in the sense that it provides an isolated environment for executing an application. And similar to virtual machines, we can stop and restart containers. Now, technically, a container is just an operating system process, but it's a special kind of process because it has its own file system, which is provided by the image. Now, let me show you something interesting. In the previous section, we started a container from the Ubuntu image, right? Now I'm going to open up another terminal window. Let's run docker ps to see the running processes or running containers. So here's the container that we started in the previous section. Now I'm going to start a new container from the same image. Let's see what happens. So do you remember how to start a container from an image? We type docker run. We want to run this in the interactive mode so we can work with it. And then we type the name of the image, so Ubuntu. All right, here's the container ID. And as you can see, this is different from this other container. Now, back to our first container. I'm currently inside the home directory. So in the previous section, we created a bunch of directories and this deployment file. Now, back to our new container, let's go to the home directory and see what is here. There's nothing here. Here's the reason. A container gets its file system from the image, but each container has its own write layer. So what we write in a given container is invisible from other containers. Of course, there is a way to share data between containers, and we'll talk about that later in the course. But what I want you to understand here is that each container is an isolated environment for executing an application. It's an isolated universe. So whatever happens inside that universe is invisible to other containers, okay? Now that you have a proper understanding of images and containers, you're ready to Dockerize an application. So in the next lesson, we're going to take a front-end application built with React and start Dockerizing it.